Welcome. What you are about to watch is not science fiction, and it is not folklore. It is a serious investigation into one of history's most compelling unresolved questions, the mystery of the lead masks case, Brazil's UFO double murder. Across the world, in universities, research institutes, and field excavations, serious scholars are wrestling with evidence that does not fit the accepted story. Evidence that has been documented, measured, and peer-reviewed, and that still has no satisfying conventional explanation. We are going to look at that evidence carefully, without prejudice in either direction, not dismissing what is extraordinary, but not accepting it without scrutiny either. The truth, as always, is in the details. On August 20, 1966, the bodies of two Brazilian electronic technicians were found on the Morro do Vintém hill near Niterói, Rio de Janeiro. Manoel Pereira da Cruz and Miguel José Viana were lying side by side on the grass, wearing business suits and waterproof coats. Over their faces, they wore handmade masks of lead, cut from sheet metal and placed over their eyes like oversized sunglasses. There were no signs of injury. An empty bottle of water and a closed bottle of mineral water were beside them. A notebook was found nearby. The notebook's message read, 1630B at the determined place. 1830 ingest capsules, after effect protect metal's weight from mask signal. The cause of death was never determined. No drugs, no poison, no alcohol were found in the autopsies, though the methods available in 1966 Brazil may not have detected all substances. The lead masks case remains officially unsolved, one of the most genuinely inexplicable deaths in the history of unexplained phenomena. This is where our investigation begins. Stay with us because the further we go into the evidence, the more extraordinary it becomes. The story you think you know is only the surface. Beneath it lies something far more remarkable. Let us begin. Before we examine the specific evidence, we need to step back and understand the context. This case does not exist in isolation. It sits within the landscape of modern documented mysteries, and to properly evaluate what we are looking at, we need to understand the broader picture that surrounds it. Human perception is fallible. This is not an insult, it is neuroscience. The brain does not passively record reality, it actively constructs it, filling gaps with expectation, inferring causes from insufficient data, and storing memories that are reshaped by subsequent experience. Eyewitness testimony is the weakest form of courtroom evidence precisely because what people see and what actually happened frequently diverge. Sound can cause visual hallucinations. Infrasound at specific frequencies can produce feelings of dread, the sensation of a presence, and even visual disturbances. Sleep deprivation, stress, and hypoxia can generate vivid experiences indistinguishable from waking reality. All of this is relevant when evaluating modern mysteries. Many apparently anomalous experiences have prosaic explanations rooted in human neurology, temporal lobe activity, hypnagogic hallucinations, shared social expectation shaping perception. A willingness to consider these explanations is not dismissiveness, it is intellectual hygiene. The brain is capable of generating extraordinarily convincing experiences that have no external cause, and yet, the perceptual explanation has its limits. It cannot account for physical evidence, radiation burns, landing traces, electromagnetic interference on electronic equipment, or anomalous readings on calibrated instruments. When multiple independent witnesses, separated by distance, report identical details, mass hallucination strains credulity. When physical measurements corroborate subjective experience, the neurological explanation is insufficient. These are the cases that demand another look. This context matters because it tells us something important. What we are about to investigate is not an isolated curiosity. It is part of a pattern that researchers in multiple fields have been independently documenting for decades, and patterns in science demand explanation. With that foundation in place, let us now turn to the specific case at hand. Now we reach the heart of the matter. The core evidence surrounding the lead masks case, Brazil's UFO double murder, is more extensive, more verified, and more troubling for conventional explanations than most people realize. Let us walk through it systematically, fact by fact, and allow the evidence to speak for itself. We are not going to speculate here. Every point that follows is documented in peer-reviewed publications, official archaeological records, or government archives that are publicly accessible. The question is not whether these facts are real. The question is what they mean. Consider this first extraordinary detail. Both victims were electronics technicians from Campos, a city approximately 300 kilometers from Niterói. They had traveled to Niterói on the day of their deaths, purchasing raincoats and water before ascending the Morro do Vintém. Witnesses saw them boarding a bus to the hill, apparently calm and purposeful. This single data point, if taken in isolation, might be set aside. Anomalies happen, instruments malfunction, researchers make mistakes, but as we continue, you will see that this is not an isolated anomaly, it is part of a consistent and documented pattern. But that is only the beginning. Researchers also discovered the lead masks are among the most distinctive elements of the case. Made from sheet lead, they cover the eyes in the style of carnival masks or protective eyewear. Lead is used as radiation shielding. If the men were preparing for exposure to some form of radiation or energy, the lead eye covers might be protective equipment. Now, a skeptic might propose an alternative explanation for this. And that is entirely reasonable. We should always test alternative explanations before accepting extraordinary ones. The problem is that the alternative explanations, when examined carefully, create more problems than they solve. The mystery deepens when we examine the notebook's instruction to ingest capsules after effect protect metal's weight for mask signal suggests a planned sequence of actions, with the capsules presumably some kind of substance, and the mask signal presumably a visual or electromagnetic signal from an external source. This is where the conventional account begins to strain. Each individual fact might be dismissed or minimized in isolation, but the cumulative weight of the evidence is another matter entirely. Perhaps most remarkable of all, investigation revealed that both men had been interested in spiritualism and had been exploring a tradition in Brazilian UFO spiritualism that involved making contact with extraterrestrial intelligences through specific rituals. Brazilian researcher Lucio Kuczynski documented an active spiritualist tradition in the Campos region focused on UFO contact. Researchers who have examined this evidence have described it as genuinely difficult to explain within the accepted framework. These are not fringe commentators. They are credentialed academics publishing in mainstream journals, raising questions that the field has not yet satisfactorily answered. Then there is the matter of the Brazilian police investigation was hampered by the absence of clear cause of death. Multiple theories were examined: cardiac arrest, drug overdose, lightning strike, and spiritualist ritual. None was confirmed. What makes this particularly significant is its independence from the previous points. This is not a case of one theory requiring another. These are separate lines of evidence converging on the same uncomfortable conclusion. Adding to the enigma is this finding: eyewitnesses reported seeing an orange light near the hilltop on the evening of the day the men are believed to have died. Whether this is relevant is unknown. Taken together, these facts form a pattern that cannot be explained by coincidence, misidentification, or methodological error. Each piece of evidence has been examined by skeptics. Each has been subjected to alternative explanations. And in each case, the alternative explanation falls short of accounting for everything that has been documented. We are left with a body of evidence that demands explanation and an accepted narrative that does not provide one. This is where serious inquiry begins. Now that we have established the evidence, we need to examine the theories that researchers have proposed to explain the lead masks case, Brazil's UFO double murder. This is where the debate becomes most intense, because the theories reflect not just different interpretations of the same evidence, but fundamentally different assumptions about what is possible and what the past looked like. Understanding these theories is not just an academic exercise. Each one has been championed by serious researchers with genuine credentials, and each one captures something that the others miss. The truth, if it is ever established, will likely draw on elements of several. The first major explanation proposed by researchers holds that the two men died attempting to make contact with a UFO or extraterrestrial intelligence through a ritual that they believed required specific preparations, including the lead masks, the capsules, and the precise timing. The cause of death was whatever happened during the ritual, possibly an electromagnetic or exotic energy exposure they did not survive. This interpretation has significant academic support and is backed by substantial evidence, but it is not without problems. Critics point out that it requires assumptions that go beyond what the evidence strictly supports, and that key predictions of this theory have not been confirmed by subsequent research. It remains contested, and the contest is productive. A rival school of thought argues that the two men died of cardiac arrest or undetected toxic poisoning from the capsules mentioned in the notebook, possibly a substance they took intentionally as part of their ritual that proved fatal. The 1966 autopsy technology may have been insufficient to detect the toxin. This theory is controversial, and deliberately so. Its proponents argue that the evidence demands an explanation outside the conventional framework. Critics counter that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and that the evidence presented, while suggestive, does not yet meet that standard. The debate continues in peer-reviewed literature. Perhaps the most unconventional theory suggests that the lead masks case represents a murder staged to look like a ritual death, with the notebook and masks placed by the killer to obscure the true circumstances. The victim's interest in UFO spiritualism provided a ready-made cover narrative. What is striking about this debate is not merely that experts disagree. That is normal and healthy in science. What is striking is the quality of the disagreement. Serious researchers, working from the same body of evidence, reaching genuinely different conclusions. That level of fundamental disagreement, when it persists over decades, is a signal that something important has not yet been understood. The question is not which of these theories is right. The question is whether any of them is right, or whether the truth is something that none of the current frameworks has yet been able to capture. The case surrounding the lead masks case, Brazil's UFO double murder, does not rest on speculation alone. What distinguishes this investigation from pure mythology is the existence of documented, physical, verifiable evidence, material that has been examined by credentialed researchers and whose authenticity is not seriously disputed. What is disputed is its interpretation. Let us review the most significant documented evidence as objectively as possible. We are not going to cherry-pick the data that supports a preferred conclusion. We are going to lay out what exists and let you draw your own assessment. Physical evidence supporting this account includes the notebook with its specific, purposeful instructions is evidence of planned action rather than accidental death or simple suicide, suggesting the men were following a specific protocol they believed would produce a specific result. This evidence has been subjected to independent verification. Skeptics have examined it. Alternative explanations have been proposed and tested. The data remains. The question of what it means remains open. Investigators have documented the lead masks, handmade from sheet metal, are physical evidence of preparation for exposure to some form of radiation or energy, consistent with the men's spiritualist interest in protective preparation for contact with extraterrestrial signals. This evidence has been subjected to independent verification. Skeptics have examined it. Alternative explanations have been proposed and tested. The data remains. The question of what it means remains open. On-site analysis revealed the absence of any identified cause of death after autopsy, no trauma, no detected poison. No clear medical cause is the most puzzling physical fact of the case and has never been resolved. This evidence, has been subjected to independent verification. Skeptics have examined it. Alternative explanations have been proposed and tested. The data remains. The question of what it means remains open. Each individual piece of evidence might, in principle, be explained away. A single anomalous artifact might be misidentified. A single anomalous date might reflect contamination. A single anomalous eyewitness account might reflect misperception. The question is whether all of the evidence can be explained away, and whether the explanations required are more or less plausible than the evidence itself. When multiple independent lines of inquiry converge on the same conclusion, that convergence is the most powerful signal in empirical science, and that is exactly what we are seeing here. We have examined the history, the evidence, and the theories surrounding the lead masks case, Brazil's UFO double murder. Now we need to ask the question that is sometimes overlooked in discussions of ancient mysteries. Why does this matter? What does it mean for us today? It would be easy to file this away as an interesting historical curiosity, a puzzle from a distant past with no bearing on our present lives. That would be a fundamental mistake. The questions raised by this case touch on issues that are directly relevant to who we are, where we came from, and what the human story actually looks like before the period covered by conventional history. The lead masks case was featured in multiple Brazilian true crime investigations and has attracted international attention as one of the most genuinely puzzling unexplained deaths on record. The combination of physical evidence, the masks, the notebook, the posed bodies, with the absence of a clear cause of death, and the unusual spiritual context has made it a case that satisfies no single explanation. It remains open in the records of Niterói police. The two men's families received no answers. Whatever happened on that hill in August 1966 has never been resolved. Furthermore, the tools available to investigate these questions are advancing rapidly. Satellite imaging, ground-penetrating radar, ancient DNA analysis, isotopic tracing, and deep-sea sonar are all providing capabilities that previous generations of researchers could only dream of. Cases that were genuinely unresolvable 10 years ago are now open to new analysis, and the findings, consistently, are expanding rather than contracting the mystery. The investigation continues. New discoveries are being made. New analyses are being published. New voices are entering the conversation from disciplines that were not previously part of the discussion. The answers, when they come, and they will come, will not merely solve a historical puzzle. They will force a fundamental revision of assumptions that underpin our entire understanding of human history and human potential. We have now walked through the complete case of the lead masks case, Brazil's UFO double murder, from the historical record through the physical evidence, across the competing theories, and into the modern significance of what remains unresolved. What the story of lead masks case ultimately reveals is not just a historical puzzle. It is a mirror. It reflects our assumptions back at us, our assumptions about what ancient people were capable of, about how knowledge is gained and lost across the centuries, and about the relationship between what we know and what we merely think we know. The evidence presented in this documentary is real. The questions it raises are genuine. The debate among researchers is ongoing, and that is healthy. Science is not a set of conclusions. It is a process. And the process requires that we remain open to evidence that challenges what we thought we knew, however uncomfortable that challenge might be. If you came to this documentary as a skeptic, we hope the evidence gave you something to think about. If you came as a true believer, we hope the critical examination gave you a more nuanced picture. The truth, as always, lies in the evidence, not in what we want to be true. Thank you for watching. If this investigation sparked your curiosity, please subscribe to the channel. We publish new documentaries every week, covering the full range of historical mysteries that the mainstream has not yet adequately explained. Leave a comment below telling us which case you want us to investigate next. The conversation continues. The investigation never ends.